Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to dig into something that sounds, well, a little backward at first. We're talking about the deliberate design of our government. And it's an architecture that wasn't built on wishful thinking, but on a really honest look at how people actually are.
You know that feeling when you're watching the news and just nothing is happening? Debates go on forever? Things grind to a halt? It's so frustrating, right? We call it gridlock. But what if that's not a bug? What if all that friction, that slowness, is actually a feature? What if it was put there on purpose to protect us?
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we have to talk about one thing: ambition. It's just a core part of human nature, and the people who designed the Constitution, they knew this. They knew you couldn't just cross your fingers and hope that leaders would always be angels. That's not a strategy, that's a prayer. They needed something way more solid.
So here's the core problem they were trying to solve. They figured the biggest threat to freedom wasn't necessarily evil villains. Nope, it was something much more common: the natural drive for any leader to want more power, to push the limits, to go beyond what the Constitution says. That was the specific danger they had to build a cage for.
So really, it comes down to two totally different ways of thinking about it. On one hand, you've got this idealistic hope. You just assume leaders will be good people and rely on their virtue alone. But on the other hand, you have a much more realistic design. This one starts with the simple fact: leaders are always going to seek more power. So instead of ignoring it, you build a system that accepts that reality and is designed to handle it.
And this is where things get really, really clever. This is the big idea. Instead of trying to stamp out ambition, which, let's be real, is impossible, the system uses it. It channels it. It takes one person's ambition and slams it right up against another person's ambition. It is, quite literally, fighting fire with fire.
So think about how this actually works, step by step. First, someone or some group tries to grab more power, right? That's the ambition part. Then, the system kicks in and sets another ambitious group against them to push back. And what happens? The whole machine slows down. It forces them to stop, to talk, to compromise. And it's right there, in that slowdown, in that forced negotiation, that our liberty is protected.
And that brings us right back to that word we all hate to hear: gridlock. But maybe we need to completely reframe how we think about it. What if gridlock isn't a sign the system is broken? What if it's actually a sign that the system is working? It's the sound of the emergency brakes being pulled, exactly as designed.
So let's just put the question right out there, because this is the whole point. Why on earth would anyone want a government that's slow and gets deadlocked? I mean, what's the upside here? And the answer is actually really simple, but it's powerful. Think about it. A government that can do things at lightning speed can also abuse its power at lightning speed. That slow, frustrating process, that's a safety feature. It's a circuit breaker. Turns out, when it comes to government, faster isn't always better. And this really shows you what's at stake. Because when those checks and balances don't work, when one person or one party or one branch gets too powerful and has no one to push back, well, the end result is always the same. Freedom starts to shrink. The whole system is basically an insurance policy against that exact scenario.
There's this old proverb that's a perfect metaphor for this idea. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. The point isn't to get rid of the conflict or the friction. The point is to make it useful, right? When two blades rub against each other, they both get sharper. And in the same way, when two competing ambitions clash in this system, the idea is that they sharpen each other into better and safer policies for all of us.
Okay, so this isn't just some abstract political science lesson. This whole architectural design, it doesn't run on its own. It needs us. It relies on everyday people understanding how it's supposed to work and defending that design, especially when it's slow and inconvenient.
So what does that actually mean for you and me? Well, for starters, it means we have to defend the process even when we don't like the outcome. It means we have to reject that really tempting but dangerous idea that the ends justify the means. And maybe the hardest part in our fast-paced world, it means we have to learn to be patient with our own government, trusting that slow can also mean safe.
And that really leaves us with a huge question for today, doesn't it? I mean, we live in a world that wants everything instantly. Speed is king. But this whole architecture of liberty, it was built for the exact opposite. It was built for patience, for deliberation. So can we, living in this age of speed, still find a way to value the wisdom of a system that's designed to be slow and steady on purpose? It's a really important thing to think about. Thanks for joining me.